Hey everyone, welcome to another match of Temur Brazen Delver. Today we are playing Dimir Delver, or Blue-Black Delver, which should be interesting. Our opening hand is actually pretty good. 2 Force of Negations, 2 Delvers, Mana Leak, and a Brazen Borrower. Pretty much discard proof at this point. Don't really care what they discard here, because we have backups. So they took one of our Force of Negations, which is okay. We draw our second land, which is perfect. Obviously, going to play Delver turn 1. You almost always want to do that. Thought Scour, targeting themselves, so that's interesting. If they're targeting themselves, that means they're probably going to try and cast Gurmag Angler or Tasigur. We'll find out. Our Delver flips, which is beautiful. I rarely have that kind of luck. And our opponent is down to 14, and now we can protect our Delver. So remember, protect the Queen strategy. That's often what you want to do here. We'll probably let Snapcaster resolve. And just deal with whatever they plan on flashing back. Inquisition of Kozilek is what they select. And I think here it's worth, at the very least, either bolting Snapcaster Mage, getting rid of it, and then having them choose something else from our hand. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So let's get rid of Snapcaster. Oh, no, I just targeted their face. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I chose to be as aggressive as possible. I guess that's fair. I'm like, okay, let's finish them off as quickly as we can. Snapcaster is not going to be something we're going to be blocking anyway. So we don't necessarily mind if Snapcaster keeps pinging us every turn. Or I should say shocking us. Our opponent's up to 4 lands. Means in theory they can have Cryptic Command mana. Instead they're going to cast Tasigur. Realistically speaking here, this is not an issue. We're probably going to bounce it and at the end of the turn with Brazen Borrower. Kind of showing the utility of Brazen Borrower here. So even though in theory we're not really afraid of Tasigur, it's pretty much going to hurt. Yeah. So we draw another land, which is perfectly fine. We're just going to attack in here. And we are not in a rush to do essentially anything. Play our land, and it's probably it. Oh, okay. So I want to play Delver of Secrets, and I figure worst case I could go get a Breeding Pool and hardcast Force of Negation, so that's fair. I could also cast Brazen Borrower end of turn. Yeah, and our opponent kind of saw the writing on the wall and decided to give up. So what do we bring in here? So Blood Moon is traditionally something I would bring in. Only because, I mean, they would have nothing with red, right? So if we turn all their black producing mana, or lands I should say, into red producing, they're not going to have access to a lot of their utility spells. But I find Blood Moon is very risky against 2 colors. Huntmaster of the Fells, Veil of Summer, all of that makes sense, obviously. Veil of Summer essentially shuts off any spell our opponent plays that targets us or our permanents. So that's almost an auto include. And of course Huntmaster of the Fells for the grind, which this kind of deck can lead to. Our opening hand, by the way, was just barely keepable. Tarmogoyf essentially was the only thing that sealed the deal. And Sleight of Hand. So here we see Serum Visions in the forest. Definitely don't want the forest, so we'll take the Serum Visions. Our opponent is fetching basics, or at least playing basics, which is interesting. Almost as if they know that we probably play Blood Moon. Luckily we don't have Blood Moon right now, or I'd be pretty upset. It'd be relatively dead. So I'm not rushing anything here. Although in retrospect I should have just used my Steam Vents as opposed to my Breeding Pool. I didn't for whatever reason. Now we can't use Veil of Summer, unfortunately. Could have stopped Inquisition of Kozilek, so I'm kind of pissed off here. But I didn't have Veil of Summer when I played Stern Vision, so I didn't really think that through. So we'll play our Delver of Secrets, and that's it. Alright, Snapcaster Mage coming down. I believe they're targeting Fatal Push. Unfortunately. So now we're going to Veil of Summer that. That's almost certain. Dispel out of the sideboard. So that wins, and our Delver of Secrets goes down. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Probably gonna let that through. Oh no, no, okay. I sensed that 12 was too low of a life total to be at this early on. It's also gonna elicit a response, which might clear the way for Brazen Borrower, so let's see. Mana Leak not really going to make a difference here. But I figure if they pay it, at least they won't be able to cast whatever they want to cast. So one Snapcaster Mage is going bye-bye at least. We draw another Lightning Bolt, which is pretty good. Thoughtseize. Yeah, this is where we want to kind of cast Lightning Bolt. And then probably cast Brazen Borrower, yeah. There we go. So they're going to take their Mana Leak, or our Mana Leak I should say. At least we have a threat on the board. Stubborn Denial, not going to be ferocious unfortunately with Brazen Borrower, but our opponent's out of responses here. They kind of cast everything they could. Snapcaster Mage is going to resolve. Let's see what they do. So they're going to +1. Or I should say +2. So we draw a Tarmogoyf, which is actually pretty great. It's a 4/5. We're going to attack Jace first, obviously. And then we're going to play our Tarmogoyf. So now Stubborn Denial is active, or at least Ferocious is. And we can do some damage if our opponent decides to cast anything non-creature. So our opponent is going to 0 because they know they're not going to necessarily get out of this. And they have no answers. And they give up. Good. There we go. We made quick work of Dimir Delver. Interesting. I'm not sure if we want to be playing Delver that 2 colors is the way you want to do it in Modern. There's just so much more power you can unlock when you go 3 color. Temur obviously is my favorite, but you can play Grixis Delver. In theory, you can play Sultai Delver as well. Those are different archetypes that I'll probably explore in the near future, but you know, Temur obviously is my colors. So we dealt with Dimir Delver here. We just had a lot of power at our disposal, and we ended up being the better deck. If you enjoyed this match, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content in general, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. The usual thing I say at the end of every video. All that stuff really helps me out a lot, and at least you get to stay up to date with all my new deck techs, content, giveaways, all that stuff. A big thank you to my patrons as well. Check out the link in the description if you're interested in becoming a patron and supporting this channel. I've made the tiers pretty lucrative, I think, and you're essentially guaranteed to get quite a bit of value every year just by being a patron. So that's kind of nice. Kind of like Alpha Investments, although I don't have the infrastructure and investment that Rudy has at Alpha Investments, but the best I can, I am doing, at least with my tier. So check that out, link in the description. Thanks, and have a good one.